Garrett, and I'm your #1 soul survivor. And welcome to Heads Up America. Now you may be confused a bit because when I first started this thing, it was called Soul Survivor. And it has made some changes because I kind of want to direct this series at a broader audience. So now it's called Heads Up America. But I'm still your #1 soul survivor, Garrett. Well, today we're going to talk about anger and exactly how that affects us and how it affects others. Many times we find that anger really doesn't help any situation. As a matter of fact, I've said on many occasions that anger is a wasted emotion. It is definitely a wasted emotion, and it serves no purpose because what it does is it blocks us. It blocks us from being in a solution finding mode. Many times we find that when we're angry, all reason gets pushed to the back burner. And when that happens, we become closed to anything that might be helpful to that situation. You take, for instance, you're angry at a person or something like that, and next thing, words start flying, hands start flying, and everything is just all over the place. And when you look back on it, you always say, there could have been a better way I could have handled this. And 9 times out of 10, there is a better way to handle things. The reason I'm talking about this is because, like I said, I don't talk about things that I don't need to hear myself. So I found myself in a situation where I was really, really angry about something that occurred. Now, it wasn't my fault, all right, but however, it was a matter of perception. That matter of perception caused me to be in a situation that I didn't want to be in. As a matter of fact, it made me very angry to even be in that situation. But instead of going into a solution finding mode, I became angry. I started lashing out at things and people and situations around me. That just made the situation worse. It made it worse for me, but it didn't make it worse for them. It didn't affect them in any way. As a matter of fact, half the people that you're angry at don't even know you're angry at them. And what's even worse is they could care less. All right, so getting angry really doesn't solve anything. As a matter of fact, it blocks us. Often we hear in the Bible where they say, turn the other cheek. Well, it took many years for me to get that saying, what they meant by turn the other cheek. Turn the other cheek doesn't mean you turn the other cheek and let them smack that one too, necessarily. It means to let it go. Okay, you turn to the other side, you turn the other cheek, and you just let it go. And take that energy that you want to invest in that anger and use it for something that can solve the problem, that can cause some kind of agreement. All right. And the biggest way to do this, and most of the time we get angry, but most of the time we get angry because we disagree with something somebody did. You know, the first step to getting past that, of course, is to learn to agree to disagree. You have to accept the fact that not everybody and everything is going to agree with you. They're not going to see it your way. Everybody's not going to see it your way. Everything's not going to go your way. And that's the first step in getting past this anger. Now, of course, there are those of us who might have chemical imbalances or mental problems and everything, and that is just a natural state of anger. They're always angry. But that's just a very, very small population. Most of us have control over our emotions to some extent. And that's what anger is. It's an emotion. Oftentimes we find ourselves also in an addictive mode. Now, this is where this is might get a little fuzzy and such. Addiction is never about is not really so. I'm not going to say never, but it's not really so much about the substance or the thing. It's about the feeling that it causes. It's about the feeling you get from doing that. Like, say, a person likes drinking. Okay, they drink because they feel a certain way. It might make them feel empowered. It might make them feel mellow or whatever. Okay. But it's not so much, it's not so much the physical addiction to the alcohol that's hard to get past. I mean, because we can detox, get it out of our system, and physically, we're no longer dependent at that moment on that substance. However, it is the emotional and mental addiction, okay, which is very, very hard to get past because we get used to it. We get accustomed to feeling this way. And the same goes for anger. You can become accustomed to feeling that way. You can use that as your default emotion. If you're happy, is one thing. But if you're sad, if you're lonely, if you're confused, if you're depressed, anger can become the default emotion when you don't know what you're feeling or you can't express what you're feeling. So what I'm saying, soul survivors, is we need to look at why we're angry. And I know that everybody out there has somebody that they're absolutely teetotally pissed off with. Okay? And because I got them myself. And I know if I got them, everybody else has got them. All right? So, but we need to look at that anger and really why we're angry. Is the anger helping or is it hindering? Now, there are times that anger can actually help because it can motivate us to do something about the problem, to do something about the situation. Take, for instance, that situation where you have a abusive husband or wife and they are just doing things to you. They're hitting you. They're speaking rudely to you. They're just, it's just a humiliating and degrading and hurtful situation to be in. And you put up with this for years and years on years. And you're angry, but you're hurt more than anything else. You're hurt, you're disappointed, you're depressed. There's so many things going on that it just goes into one clump, and we call that anger. Well, at that point, this anger can do two things. It can motivate you to do something about it, and that is get out of the situation, to leave, to do what you need to do, or you can let it take you to a darker place that will cause you to maybe lash out at that person or people around you, or just be sullen in your mood, and your performance at work messes up, and everything in your life just goes to pot because you're holding on to that anger, and that anger just builds and festers inside of you. That's not what we're looking for here. What we're looking for here is to find a way to mediate this anger, to get this anger to the point where it's manageable and we can start looking at things more reasonably. So what I want you to do today, soul survivors, is I want you to take a situation that you're angry with, that's upsetting you. And I want you to find a quiet place and look at why you're angry and what good your anger is serving to settle that problem or to rectify that situation. And when you look at it, I want you to say to yourself, just for today, just for this moment, I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to forget. No, nobody expects you to forgive and forget. Okay, we're not that good yet. All right, but we're just going to let it go. We're going to let it go for a moment, and we're going to breathe. We're just going to take a deep breath. We're going to sit back, and we're going to look at the situation, kind of analyze it a little bit, see what part we had in it, and understand the part they had in it, or try to understand the part they had in it, and try to move past the anger to a place where we can solve the problem. Either solve it or somehow remove that situation from our lives so that we can once again have peace in ourselves and in our heart. This is your number one soul survivor, Garrett the Red. And once again, it's been real and you've been special. So keep your head up.